Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. We are back after a week off. Tony, how'd you spend your break?
I'm Tony Kornheiser, yelling hot takes into your voicemail.
I know, you filled up my voicemail.
I do.
I got no space now.
True.
What is this?
This is actually true. People don't know this. We talk every day.
We do, especially during
football.
Even
when we're off, we talk about games that are on.
That's right.
Yeah. People probably don't realize that. Anyway, welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Washington tops Texas. The Niners and Ravens are #1 seeds, and David Tepper appears to throw a drink. But we begin today with yesterday's early semifinal, Michigan and Alabama. It was a tense game all the way through, culminating in overtime and ending when Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe was stopped 3 yards short of a game-tying touchdown on 4th down. Michigan won 27-20. Wilbon, what does this win mean for Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines?
Tony, it means a tremendous amount. We think of Michigan as one of the elite programs, because it is. We think of Michigan as one of the powerful programs, Power 5 conference, the Big Ten. They must win all the time, right? 3 times national champions since World War II. Since World War II. Not in the Super Bowl era, not in the get-up era. I mean, we're going back now 80-plus years. 3 championships, Tone. And so Michigan, the school up north, according to Woody Hayes, this is a big deal for them. And Jim Harbaugh, I really don't see. I know there's a contract maybe waiting for him to stay at Michigan and make a lot of money even after they tried to cut his salary by half a couple of years ago. I don't see Jim Harbaugh staying at Michigan. I see him going off to the NFL. So, wow, this is it, right? If the curtain closes and Coach Harbaugh takes a bow, and he's won a national championship for Michigan, it means everything to that school and that fan base.
Yeah, I have to be honest. When I'm watching that game, at the very first play, I thought Michigan was going to lose. I'm sitting down. I'm yelling at the screen, throw it away. I'm yelling at McCarthy, throw it away. And he doesn't throw it away, and it's intercepted. Now they get a reprieve on the interception because the guy was out of bounds or something like that.
Out of bounds.
And then the next possession they have, they muff a punt. The first of two muff punts in the same game. I thought Alabama was going to roll them. But then Michigan's defense was so good. They sacked the quarterback 5 times in the first half, Mike. And by the end of the first half, statistically, Michigan was way up in all categories. And even then, Mike, they were only winning by 3 points in the game, and I thought they were going to lose. So all credit to Michigan for hanging in there and winning that game. What does it mean to Harbaugh? It gets the monkey off his back, never winning playoff games. I agree with you. It makes him more attractive if somebody wants to hire him. But I do think, Mike, that most of the country believes that either Jim Harbaugh cheated or his team cheated, and I think that stays with you. And what does it mean to Michigan? If they can contain Penix the way they contained Milroe, they're going to win that game. I just want to get this one thing in, Mike. You and I disagree about this.
What's that?
I want to go back to the last play of the game.
Okay.
I know you think it was sabotage by a bad snap.
And a bad block.
I watched this, and they've got, 5 timeouts, and they come up with a play, empty backfield, quarterback draw against a 7 or 8 man front. He was lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. I thought it was a terrible call. Terrible
Tony,
call.
I don't think the call was terrible. The execution was bad. I give Saban all the credit in the world because Saban brought it back to him and said it was a bad call. It didn't work. It's bad. No, it wasn't, Tony. They missed 1 block out of the 4 or 5 people who have to sustain their blocks. They missed 1. Now, that guy at 330 or 40 pounds, that tackle, got pancaked, got pushed back into his own quarterback. But I'm not going to say it was. Those things are execution-based.
I know we disagree. We disagree on this. I know.
Michigan will now face Washington for the title. The Huskies built a 13-point lead over Texas in the second half and then had to hold on, had to swat away the Longhorns' final pass to win the game as time expired. Washington quarterback Michael Penix Jr. threw for 430 yards in the win. Tone, what did the Huskies show you last night?
Well, they certainly make their fans make their hearts palpitate. As you said, they're up 13 points with less than 8 minutes to go. And then they end up having to defend, I think, 4 plays inside their own 15 that could cost them the game. They could so easily have lost that game. Now, what is true is they win all these close games. They get credit. They don't lose these close games. I think this is 10 in a row in a one-score game. But they're a tough watch if you're a fan. What did they show me? Mike, they showed me last night what they showed me all year, that kid can really pass. Yeah, he can. Those receivers can run, and they can get it. Man. Penix delivers the ball left-handed from about 25 different arm angles. It's always clean. It's always fast. If you watch the Pac-12 this year and the last year, you got to see Caleb Williams and Bo Nix and Penix every week. I mean, that's great quarterback.
Tony, couldn't disagree with you for one word of that. Penix is an interesting character. I mean, I got to watch Penix in person at Indiana in the Big Ten another whole lifetime ago. And then it was thought, well, is he ever going to learn to pass? He can really move and he can do this, but can he stay in the what? He can do anything with throwing a football. He can. And Odunze, his best receiver, I guess, because they got 2 great ones. I've been spending all year slurping Marvin Harrison Jr., and right now the Bears with the top pick, if they traded and they wound up with Odunze instead of Marvin Harrison Jr., I'd be thrilled because Odunze may be as good a pro. He may be a better pro. He may be nearly as good. Tony, watching them play pitch and catch is what makes Washington exciting to me. But, Tone, those Pac-12 defenses, Washington's defense is like 119th. Tone, I don't know that they can defend Michigan. Michigan's offense is not what I consider a great offense, but Washington's defense is suspect. I love the way they wound up, sort of in the middle of that game, putting up some points and looking like Washington should look, but their defense down the stretch is shaky.
Let me go big picture here for a second, just for a second.
Okay.
I actually think we can review now and that the committee got it right. I don't want to hear any more bleeding for Florida State. I just don't want to hear it. I thought the 4 best teams were out there. They produced 2 great games out there. I had both of them wrong. I thought Texas and Alabama were going to win. I had both of them wrong. And now we're going to get an undefeated national champion, the last unbeaten team. Don't talk to me about Florida State and Liberty being undefeated, because in their bowl games, they lost by a combined 99
I'm not going to throw Liberty in there because Liberty doesn't belong. Florida State's supposed to have some character. As an institution, I'm not going to fight any one kid that wants to sit out, but as an institution, Florida State has no character or demonstrated none whatsoever and no leadership whatsoever. It seems like a disgrace to Bobby Bowden, who made Florida State everything it is. And I don't want to hear about Florida State. And I was with them. I bled for Florida State. After this showing, well, you can't show, get out.
The top seeds in the NFL are now set. San Francisco got there by easily defeating a bad team, Washington. Baltimore got there by crushing a supposedly good team, Miami. Kansas City finally won at home. Philadelphia lost again at home. And Dallas escaped with a win when Detroit's Dan Campbell's repeated tries for a 2-point conversion and a win on the road fell short. Wilbon, which of these teams grabbed your attention the most?
Detroit. I know nobody's going to go with that. Other people would have 5 teams listed before Detroit. Detroit beat Dallas, okay? I don't care about the 2 points at the end. You can take your scorecard. You can write down whatever. Detroit beat Dallas. Detroit was better in Dallas in the game that Dallas had to win. Detroit was better. Let's get that out the way. I don't know what this means going forward for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know. It may hurt Detroit in that if they could have won in overtime, if they'd gone to go that direction, they might get an extra home game. I don't know. Philadelphia, Matt Patricia. I mean, I thought that was supposed to be a big deal, going to Matt Patricia to call the defensive signals. They're 1-2 since he got there, and they're giving up more points each week. And Arizona at home, you can't handle them. Handle your business. Those 2 things. So now Baltimore. Miami is a chump team. I expect nothing from Miami. I expect Miami to get beat by Buffalo this weekend. So I'm going with Detroit and Philly as wow.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and I understand the Detroit thing. I used to think that Dan Campbell was a bozo, and now I love him because he went for the win and he kept going for the win.
Yeah.
And his players will march into hell for him now, so that's good. But I will take Baltimore, even though you dismissed Baltimore, because of what they've done in the last 2 weeks. They steamrolled 2 playoff teams. They beat San Francisco 33-19 in San Francisco. Nobody does that.
That was impressive. It was.
No, they pasted Miami. I think it was 56-19, something like that. And by the way, Lamar Jackson should be the unanimous choice for MVP in the league. He had 5 touchdown passes against Miami. So I will say, Mike, that today, I'm not saying tomorrow, today, they have established themselves as the best team in the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens, right now today. My second choice would be the same as yours, would be Philadelphia. What happened here? They've lost 4 out of 5 games. Mike, the only team they beat in those 5 are the Giants. The Giants stink.
Yeah.
Arizona's not a good team. They kept letting them back in the game. You mentioned the defense. I have numbers that are really telling. In the last 5 games, Mike, they're 31st in the league in scoring defense. They're 29th in yards defense. They're 31st in third down defense. Yeah. They're 31st in red zone touchdown defense. They don't look like they can win a playoff game.
No, they don't.
They don't. Not at the moment. Let's take a break.
That's sort of shocking.
Coming up, how should Russell Wilson be feeling about Sean Payton right now?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. And how should the NFL handle Panthers owner David Tepper appearing to throw a beverage at Jaguars fans? What
happened in Philadelphia?
They crashed. They can't get up. They've fallen and they cannot get up.
My New Year's resolution is to be nicer to the viewers who apparently have nothing better to do than to send emails to a television show. So let me see what's
first. They love you. They must love you.
What's the word for how Russell Wilson should feel about Sean Payton right now?
Lied to. And that's what he did. Sean Payton sat by a microphone in front of a microphone. If he didn't lie to Russell Wilson, he lied to the rest of us. And he said it wasn't about the money. Of course it's about the money. Every network who has a football reporter in the time since that lie has detailed the money and what's going to happen to the Broncos. I don't care if he was going to take one for the team for his owner. That's on him. But to me, as I'm sitting there going, oh, Coach Payton says he's benching him for football reasons, even though he's got 24 touchdown passes and I think 8 picks. Football reasons. And Sean Payton is a couple of things, Tony. He's a terrific coach. He may even be a tremendous coach. He's got a Super Bowl ring he wears that says great coach. He also has lied, and it ain't the first time. Sean Payton thinks that he can say whatever he wants and gets away with it. No one can call him on it because usually people don't call NFL coaches on anything. They just let him get away with it. He lied. Russell Wilson should feel lied to.
I will say that if it is a football decision, he's 1-0 with that football decision. I'm not sure it's a football decision at all. Russell Wilson should feel steamed at this because Sean Payton dumped him. Yeah. He has no future with the Broncos now. Maybe he has a future with the Giants or Washington or New England, but he doesn't have a future with them, and that is irrefutable, that he got dumped by Sean Payton. Now, the original contract that Russell Wilson signed before Sean Payton got there was a ticking time bomb. It was too much money, and it was too many years for somebody that Pete Carroll, who watched him lead his team to 2 Super Bowls, traded him away and preferred Geno Smith. So that was a football decision as far as I'm concerned. And Russell Wilson was better this year than last year. And Sean Payton took a small physical quarterback, in Drew Brees and made him a Hall of Famer. So we both thought this would work better. But there's no question that Sean Payton didn't want to go forward with him. Did not want to go forward with Russell Wilson.
Heaven forbid NFL teams should own up to their ends of a contract. Heaven forbid.
Cut his legs off. Here we go. What should the NFL do with Panthers owner David Tepper following the video that appears to show him throwing a drink on Jaguars fans?
Yeah, after the inevitable investigation that will go on and on and on, and they'll review, 4,000 cell phone camera footages that were taken, and they'll review things in the park from the press box in this suite and that suite. They should suspend him. Not fine him, suspend him. He has to go away. You don't get to do this. You don't get to throw a drink at anyone. Anybody. You're in a public place. You're an owner, not a defensive power forward. You're an owner. Suspension, weeks, Tony, if not months.
Yeah. They should have suspended him yesterday. They should suspend him today. They cannot let him anywhere near his home ballpark for Carolina's last game this coming weekend. They can't do that. And they need to think about whether they want him as an owner in this particular league. Every single football decision that he has made since he got there has been wrong and loud wrong. He traded away McCaffrey. He traded away DJ Moore. He's been there 5 years. In that period of time, Mike, he's fired 3 coaches midseason, 2 of which he hired. He used the #1 pick on Bryce Young. It's too soon to tell if Bryce Young's going to be a bust or not. But almost everybody in the world would rather have C.J. Stroud. And they could have had him, obviously, with the #1 pick. And then to be seen throwing a drink in somebody else's ballpark. No, this is a terrible look for the NFL. It's just
Let's
terrible.
see if the NFL will sort of have the cojones to do what it ought to do. Let's see. By the way, I love Tepper's trades. I'm just saying. I just want to add
because you got DJ Moore. Let's take one last break. Rafael Nadal becomes the latest big star to win in his return to tennis.
I like this news coming out of the tennis world. The Seas get set to face the Thunder in what I believe qualifies as a ball night. Too bad I can't see it.
But everything to you qualifies as a ball night.
I'm flying tonight. I can't see anything.
Well, I'll watch it for you.
Good. No, you won't.
I won't. It's too late.
No,
I won't.
It comes on after dinner time.
I won't.
Too late.
No. Happy time, people. Happy 25th birthday, Fernando Tatis Jr. The Padres' former shortstop and now their right fielder signed a huge contract for 14 years and $340 million that binds him to San Diego through 2034. Tatis missed the start of the 2023 season because he was still serving an 80-game suspension for using performance-enhancing drugs in 2020 that he claimed he was using medicinally for ringworm. Yeah. The Padres were loaded with stars, including Manny Machado, Tatis, Juan Soto, Blake Snell, Xander Bogaerts, Yu Darvish, still failed to make the playoffs and let manager Bob Melvin leave for the Giants. Tatis hit .257, 25 homers, 78 RBI.
Tony, never let ringworm get you. You do whatever you have to do to avoid ringworm. Look, the Padres had to be the most underachieving team in baseball last year. Can we agree on that? I mean, given where they finished, their results for what they had on hand, major underachievers.
I agree with that. Happy anniversary, Miami Hurricanes. On this day 40 years ago, the 5th-ranked U, coached by Howard Schnellenberger and led by Bernie Kosar, won the national championship by upsetting 12-0 and top-ranked Nebraska in the Orange Bowl 31-30. Miami jumped out to a 17-0 lead and held on when Nebraska coach Tom Osborne went for 2 points and failed after scoring a late touchdown. Osborne said, quote, "We wanted an undefeated season and a clear-cut championship. I didn't think we should go for the tie in that case. It never entered my mind," unquote. Later adding, quote, "I guess I'm not very smart," unquote. Nebraska came into the game an 11-point favorite after averaging 52 points per game during the season.
Tony, the byline on the Washington Post story belonged to me for that game. But I was too young to appreciate the enormity of that night, that result, the people involved. I mean, I admire Tom Osborne in retrospect, long retrospect, for what he did. Remember, there was no overtime in college football then. No OT. He would have had to have lived with that tie after that fabulous season they had. And that really, the U was into it. They were going. They had it on by then. What a massive, massive game and result and story that night was.
Glad you were there. The Fumble Rooski produced a touchdown for Nebraska in that one.
It did.
Happy trails to the Pistons' one-game winning streak. After snapping their 28-game losing streak by beating a Toronto team that was undermanned because they had traded away players, including OG Anunoby, to the Knicks and hadn't received the Knicks players like RJ Barrett back yet, the Detroit Pistons immediately fell back onto the losing side of the streak, giving up 136 points to Houston last night. The Pistons were down 26 after 3 quarters to a Houston team that had lost 3 in a row. Detroit coach Monty Williams said, quote, "When you're fighting for a win like we were for so long and you get one, I'm sure there's emotional stuff I can't explain," unquote.
You know, it's hard for me to root for Detroit and anything being a Chicago boy. But Monty Williams, I do root for. This has got to be difficult, just unbelievably difficult, Tony, in the context of what it is, this losing streak. Anunoby, by the way, seems to fit wonderfully on New York, no matter how much the Knicks had to give up in terms of point production.
We are running out of show, and we go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
Rafael Nadal, Naomi Osaka, and Emma Raducanu, I hope I got that right, Raducanu, I'm sorry, I apologize, have all returned from absences with wins. Your thoughts?
These are maybe my 3 favorite players, tennis players in the world. You know how I feel about Osaka. I'm glad she's back. It's great for tennis and all of sport that she is back. The Steelers will start Mason Rudolph over a medically cleared Kenny Pickett. Are you surprised?
No, he's 2-0 and they're scoring points. If you need, you go with the hot hand. If he fails, then you put Pickett in. Celtics and Thunder tonight. Who you got?
Ooh. Both these teams seem to be healthy and whole. Celtics have won 6 straight. Thunder's won 4 straight. You know I love watching Oklahoma City, but I'm taking the old pros on the road tonight. The youngsters may get a little bit too excited. Can't wait to see part of that. Sean McVay of the Rams promises he'll coach that team next year. Do you believe him?
I do believe him. You know, he's a really good coach. He's been to 2 Super Bowls in his 6 years there. This is his 7th year, and he's going to be in the playoffs. That's good. Last one. Oilers go for their 6th win in a row tonight. Do you like their chances?
Tony, I do. They've reversed fortune with the Flyers, who got off to a hot start but have lost 4 or 5. And now the Oilers are on fire. Yes, they keep it going.
We're out of time. We will try and do better the next time. Greg Lecker, congratulations and good luck.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast. How's that #1 pick looking for my boys right now, Tone? Huh?
All right, Wilbon. Which team impressed you the most in the college football playoff semifinals?
Tony, you know, Texas came 1 pass completion away from the answer to this question being Texas. They did. They complete that last play of the game, either those last 2 passes with those plays inside the 15 late after they were down 13, it would have been Texas. But it's not. I think it's Michigan. And I think it's specifically Michigan because of the defense. And I know that people will get on, you know, the Alabama carry, the quarterback draw on the last play with Milroe getting stuffed. I thought Michigan defense stuffing McClellan, you know, 2 plays earlier for a 5-yard loss set up the ability to have Milroe have to make a more difficult play than Alabama wanted him to. So I'm going to go with Michigan. Their defense the whole game, but particularly that sequence.
I'm going to agree Michigan because I think you probably have to pick one of the 2 winners. But I'm going to also say this. It could be any of the 4. And I think the committee got the right 4 teams. They produced 2 great games that in each case go down to the last play.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing else you can say. And I would say Michigan because, as you know, I believe that from the first play of the game, they were going to lose. Because the kid throws an interception. They get a reprieve on the interception, but that's an interception. The next time they touch the ball, they muff a punt. I thought they could have gotten run out of that gym by Alabama at that point. And their defense held them in there the whole way. Their defense was what basically won that game. And on the last drive, their last drive in regulation, they made a great call on 4th and 2, had a pass out to the right-hand side that gained about 20 yards. On the other side of the field, later in that drive, a kid named Roman Wilson, small receiver, jumps up, catches a ball, that a spectacular catch, and then he later scores the touchdown that ties the game. So I'm going to say it to Michigan for the perseverance of hanging in that game. But honestly, and I know you agree with this, it could be any of these 4 because any of them could have won.
By the way, congratulations to Coach Harbaugh. I realized last night, Tony, I covered Harbaugh playing in the Rose Bowl.
Is that right?
I think it was the 87 season. No, it had to be the 86 season, 87 Rose Bowl. That's a long time ago. But I saw him. I was there. That's it. We're done. Back to you.